This is the final evolution of one of the coolest cars ever made. A car so cool that the world's most popular motoring show gave it its own Sub-Zero fridge. Once so beautiful it stops passers-by. The Aston Martin DB9 is going to die soon and it'll be missed. While it may not be up there dynamically with its competitors, the DB9 got away with it because of its looks, noise and how it made drivers feel. You don't have to be perfect to be popular. In 2015, Aston Martin released this, the DB9 GT, the last face it will ever wear. Its 6-litre V12 engines pushing out 540 brake horsepower and 457 pound-foot. 0 to 62 runs take 4.5 seconds and its top speed is on the fun side of 180. And now a minor confession, even though I've loved this car since it came out, since I could only just about drive, I've never actually driven one. So I think we should learn together. So this, my good friends, is what the DB9 is like to drive. When you get in it, you notice a few things. You sit really high, like higher than you would in a Vanquish, even a Vantage, and I find that a little bit strange. You feel like you're riding on the car more than in it. That said, you still can't see much out of it because the windscreen is quite heavily raked, so your front vis is quite narrow, your rear vis again is kind of minimal, and the car sort of drops off on each edge. It's got all the standard Aston interior. I love the dials. The dials, they do look like something off of a Terminator. It's a very smooth car, this. Its gearbox is a 6-speed auto and it can be a little bit jerky. I'm not an enormous fan of it, but it works. It can be smooth, you just got to learn to work with it. The steering is nice and light and very lovely. It does help you place the front wheels even if you can't see the things, but its party piece is its enormous engine. 6-litre V12, it makes a terrific noise. When you're bimbling around normally, it's nice and quiet, it's refined, but when you press the sport button or when you flip a paddle on your own and lean on the noisy pedal, it sings the song of the Aston Martin, and it's a song I like to listen to on repeat. At the turn of the century, Aston's DB7 was getting a little bit long in the tooth. It needed a change. That change was called the DB9. Penned by Henrik Fisker and one Ian Callum, the DB9 was an evolution of the DB7 that preceded it, but also more. Cleaner lines, stunning design and a perfect use of Aston's hallmarks made it stand out. It was the first car to use the Aston Martin VH platform as well. It came with a 6-litre V12 that pumped out 450 brake horsepower and 420 pound-foot. Not bad, it also made all the right noises thanks to said engine. I remember when it came out, I was about 17 years old and naturally I was impressed with big shiny fast things that made lots of lovely noises, but the DB9 was different, it was a bit more refined. It was that and the Vanquish of the day that made me think a little differently. They made my younger self realise that there was more to Aston than the DB5 with Sean Connery draped over it, that the DB7, a car that I thought was a bit 90s, because it wasn't the be-all and end-all. Aston Martin had changed. Of course, since then I've learned much more, but it's that fragile time of that Vanquish and the DB9 that turned me, and I suspect many others, onto Britain's finest. As time went on, the DB9 evolved. It spawned a race car, the DBR9, that at the 2007 Le Mans took a GT1 class victory, which in turn spawned its own special edition road car, the DBR9 LM. In 2009, Aston produced its 50,000th road car. And guess what that was? A DB9. As the decade switched, the DB9 got a facelift and some more power. Also, a bigger brother, the Virage, which came with a sharper look and a bit more everything. At the time, the DBS was the top of the range, and Aston wanted buyers to have more choice. DB9 for the soft core, Virage for the middle, and DBS for the top. The Virage, however, only lasted about 18 months and only sold around 1,000. In 2012, after a previous power hike to 470, the DB9 got a full refresh and even more power. Its new face was reminiscent of the Virage that went before. Its power upgrade to 510 brake horsepower was very welcome. Now, personally, I prefer the look of the pre-facelift DB9. I think it just looks a little bit nicer. That said, I am the kind of guy that fears change. Just a couple of years ago, there was talk of a successor. Then the Bond Special DB10 was released, a car only for him. There's a pretty one too. The DB9's time was up. After so long, it was bound to happen, but still, a part of me will be hugely sad to see the old girl go. It's been said that the DB9 ushered Aston Martin into the modern era, away from ownership woes and folly-offy bits, and into a world where words like luxury and bespoke are becoming more and more commonplace. Over its run, the Virage and the DBS have come and gone, the Rapide has been launched, there's a new Vanquish, and the Vantage is, well, still going strong. It's also been officially cool thanks to way too many surveys than I'd care to mention. The next car, DB11, will be whatever it is, stunning and brilliant, probably, but I'll always have a special place in my heart for the DB9. Its looks, when it first came out, were a revelation, to me at least, and its final evolution, well, it's simply stunning. It's a car that inspired legions of new Aston Martin fans and still kept the die-hard happy. This has been the Aston Martin DB9, and it's been great.